Welcome! If you're watching this, then you've completed the RMR calculator, and now you have your very own food tracker. I want to explain how this farm is going to change your life by just adding a few extra minutes to your day. The food tracker is a simple tool that can have a major effect on your weight loss. In fact, studies show that keeping track of your food may help you lose up to 50% more weight than you would if you didn't record your daily diet. Journaling your meals and exercise can do more than just track your intake and output. It can actually help you discover hidden eating triggers, undo bad habits, and you can learn how to energize your body by eating and staying active. So let's get right to it and break down the tracker so I can show you how it works so you can begin immediately on your path to changing your body forever. Let's start here on the left side of the tracker. The first thing that I want you to write on this tracker is the time you're eating. Remember, you don't want to go longer than 3 to 4 hours between your meals and snacks so that you can maximize your metabolism while keeping your hunger at bay. Second, the food tracker will give you guidance as to what you should be eating with each meal and snack. For example, if this was your food tracker, it would recommend that for lunch you eat 2 servings of starch, 2 servings of protein, and 2 servings of vegetables. I should make a note here that the food tracker does not give you guidance as to where to use your fat boxes. You can use them wherever you would like. Now, what you eat for your meals or snacks is written out here as a guide, but it's not set in stone, and therefore it is somewhat flexible. But there are a couple of rules that I'd like you to follow. The first thing is, remember that every time you eat, I want you to include protein or heart-healthy fat. This will help stabilize your blood sugar and it will keep you full longer. Second, don't eat a majority of one food group at a single meal or snack. For example, if you have 5 servings of starch for the day, don't eat 4 of them in one meal. And in order to be truly successful, you will have to plan your day so you know what food you need to take with you or where you will be to get food so that you don't end up starving and in a drive-thru. The third thing that I want you to know about this tracker is that the space that below each meal or snack is where you will record what it is that you're eating. For example, for breakfast at 7:30 in the morning, I had 1 cup of oatmeal with 2 tablespoons of raisins and 1 cup of skim milk. For my morning snack at 10 a.m., I ate one of my favorites, which is a small apple with 2 tablespoons of peanut butter. Then I go on to lunch, which we'll talk about in just a minute. So you know where to track. Let's move on to the next section of the food tracker, which is marking your boxes. Each box represents 1 serving of each food group. So you can see that based on my RMR and my goal to lose weight, if this is my tracker, then every day I can eat 5 servings of starch because there are 5 boxes there. I can eat 3 servings of fruit, 2 servings of milk, 7 servings of protein, and so on and so forth. On the top right side of the tracker is where you will mark how many servings of each of these food groups you eat. So what is a serving? Hang tight, that's coming. I recommend that you use an X to mark each box. That way, if you have half a serving, then it would be marked as a slash, and then it becomes a full serving once it's crossed. So let's use my breakfast as an example here. My 1 cup of oatmeal counts as 2 servings of starch. So I would mark 2 X's next to the starch group. 1 fruit for my 2 tablespoons of raisins, and 1 milk for my cup of skim milk. Don't forget your water. Each box represents 10 ounces of water, and I want you to shoot for at least 80 ounces total. By the end of the day, all those boxes should be filled. Overall, what I want you to do is I want you to think about this part of the food tracker as your bank account, with your boxes representing the amount of money that's in your account. Once you've used up all your money for that day, then that's it. You're done. There are no credit cards in this program, and we don't go into debt. So what counts as a serving? This section serves as a brief reminder on your food tracker. For a more comprehensive list, please download the entire FBT food list. You can also view the Quick Start Guide to portion sizes. It really is essential to your success that you understand exactly what the serving sizes are for each group so that you're counting your food correctly. Let's briefly go through some of them now. Okay, the first group we'll talk about is starch. 1 serving of starch would be 1 slice of bread, or a 6-inch tortilla, or half of a hamburger bun. So if I eat a sandwich with 2 slices of bread, that would then count as 2 of my boxes of starch. A serving could also be a half cup of cooked oatmeal or pasta. Starchy vegetables like half cup of corn or potatoes, and also beans are in this group. Rice would be a third cup as a serving, and then also any kind of additional sugar, jam, syrup, jellies, those types of things would be a tablespoon for a serving. And a guide for a tablespoon is the first knuckle of your thumb, typically is about the size of what 1 tablespoon would be. Next we have fruit. A serving of fruit, if it's a whole piece of fruit, like an apple or an orange, would count as, you want to think about the size of a baseball or a tennis ball. That equals 1. A serving could also be a cup of berries or melon, half a banana, or a half cup of most other fruit. Next we have milk. This group only contains milk and yogurt. We put cheese and cottage cheese in the protein group. So if you don't drink milk, then you can use your boxes for soy, almond milk, rice milk. If you don't drink any milk and you don't eat yogurt, then you can take those boxes and add them to your protein boxes. A serving of yogurt would be 6 ounces of non-fat sugar-free yogurt or 6 ounces of non-fat Greek yogurt would also count as a serving of milk. Protein is next. I've had clients in the past tell me that they always thought that protein was free, meaning they thought they could eat as much protein as they wanted because it would just go to their muscles. This theory, my friend, is wrong. Protein can be stored as fat just like anything else, so please stay within those protein boxes. As a reminder, 1 serving of protein equals 1 ounce of protein, which equals 1 box on your food tracker. So let's say that I'm going to eat 3 ounces of salmon for dinner, which is about the size of a checkbook cover. I would then mark off 3 of my protein boxes, not just 1. Same goes for 3 ounces of chicken. That's about the size of a computer mouse. That would X off 3 of my boxes on the protein group. Other servings of protein include 1 egg, 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, which is equivalent to about the size of a ping pong ball, a 1/4 cup of cottage cheese, or 1 ounce of cheese, which would be like 4 dice or a mozzarella cheese stick. Another question that I want you to ask when it comes to protein is, do you need to add fat? What do I mean by this? Well, let's say you have a 3-ounce boneless skinless chicken breast and a 3-ounce hamburger patty. Both would count as 3 servings of protein, but the difference between them is the fat content. I would need to X off a couple of my fat boxes if I eat the hamburger. So watch that quick start video for portion sizes for more detail on the fat in the protein group. The next food group is vegetables. And vegetables, here's the good news, are free. These include all but the starchy vegetables like corn and peas and potatoes. They're back in the starch group like we talked about. I want you to eat a minimum of the boxes that are listed in your vegetable group, but you are welcome to eat more. And so even though I said before that you can't go into debt if you're out of boxes and use a credit card, you can eat more vegetables because they're free. 1 serving would count as 1 cup of raw leafy vegetables like spinach or lettuce, a half cup of other raw or cooked vegetables, which would equate to about 7 baby carrots, or 6 ounces of 100% vegetable juice. And if you're buying that from a store rather than making it yourself, please always try to buy the lower sodium version. The last fat food group to talk about is fat. And when it comes to keeping track of fat, you need to keep track of both the fat in your food and the fat that you add to your food. So the fat that's in your food would be like the hamburger. Fat that we add to our food would be things like butter, oil, mayonnaise on a sandwich, salad dressing on a salad, those kinds of things. When it comes to choosing your fat, I want you to try to choose more fats that come from plants like avocados, nuts, and seeds, and oils rather than animals, because the plant fats are going to be better for your heart overall. So now that you know how this food tracker works, let's practice. Since we already tracked my breakfast, let's go ahead and move on to my morning snack. 1 small apple would count as 1 serving of fruit. So with the blue X, I mark a 2nd serving of fruit. The 2 tablespoons of peanut butter would count as 1 protein and 3 fats. So while it is a good source of protein, it is a good source of heart-healthy fat, it is high in fat. So I mark that 1 X on my protein and those 3 X's on my fat. And again, for my snack, I have another glass of water. So now I have 3 of my 8 glasses marked off there. For lunch, I decide to go out and I get a hamburger. Now that doesn't sound so much like a diet choice, does it? That's what I want to show you here, is that really all food can fit in this plan. Let's break down that hamburger. The hamburger bun, top and bottom, would count as 2 starch. So I marked 2 more X's off the starch group. If, let's say, I only wanted to use 1 starch so that I had more for the rest of the day, then I could take that top bun off and just have lettuce be the top of my hamburger. Moving on to the 2-ounce hamburger patty, that's going to count as 2 of my protein choices and also 2 of my fat choices. A teaspoon of mayo would count as a serving of fat, and lettuce and tomato, maybe I could ask for them to double that so that I could get a full serving of vegetables out of that hamburger. Ketchup and mustard on my burger are free if they're used in minimal amounts. So those things right there just make up my hamburger. And while I could choose fries, I know that I've used more of my fat towards the mayonnaise and the hamburger itself. So I think I'm going to make a better choice here and choose a side salad with the light salad dressing, which would add another couple servings of vegetables, as well as a serving of fat for the dressing. Before you get started using your food tracker, I want to give you some tips for success. The first one is commit to actually measuring your food. Pull out your measuring cups and spoons, and even a food scale if you have one, in order to make sure that your portion sizes are what they're supposed to be. Measuring your food will allow you to become familiar with what the portion sizes look like on your plate and in your bowls. You won't have to measure your food forever, but in the beginning it really is essential to your success. Now, I've had clients for many years that I meet with still every couple of months to keep them accountable, and even these seasoned clients who are in their maintenance mode, they've achieved their weight loss. I still have them pull out their measuring cups because inevitably those portions will start to grow over time. The next tip is to keep your food record handy. Leave it out on the counter, put it on your desk, or wherever you will see it, and write on it. If it's tucked away and it's in a drawer somewhere, then out of sight, out of mind. It's easy to forget, and it will make it much harder to follow the next tip, which is to use this food tracker as a tool rather than a reflection. What do I mean by that? Don't wait to the end of the day and then reflect back and write down everything that you ate that day, because what you'll find is that it's much easier to overeat, and then as you're reflecting back and marking your boxes, oh, I went over on starch, oh, I went over on fat. At that point, the damage is done. If you're using the tracker as a tool, then throughout the day, it can help guide your choices so that you stay within those allotted boxes. And that is vital to your success. Next, I want you to watch the other tutorials that are on portion sizes and food labels. These will help you learn how to count other kinds of foods, including treats and restaurant food, which are typically things that can totally end a diet. Those things are part of real life. And because this program is changing your life forever, it's a new way of eating, and I want to show you how to include those things and count them rather than for you to feel like you have to eliminate them. Now, this last tip is the most important of the bunch. I've heard from clients how easy this food record is, but let me tell you, it takes a couple of weeks to get the hang of it. I want you to commit to using the food tracker consistently for a solid 2 weeks. Why? Well, you eat similar foods within a 2-week time period. So once you figure out what food group to count it as and how many servings it is, then the next time you go to eat that same food, it's that much easier to record. Here's the good news. It does take a little more time out of your day, but the reality is it's only 5 to 10 extra minutes. And isn't your success and your forever body transformation worth it? I say absolutely. You can do this. And I can't wait to hear your success stories. So let's get tracking.